Good evening, Kitchissippi. It is Saturday, November the 1st. This is a video version of the 455th Kitchissippi Weekly Newsletter. There is lots more information about all the topics that we'll discuss in the weekly email newsletter, to which you can subscribe at kitchissippiward.ca. I'm going to be hosting my next pop-up office hours on Thursday, November the 13th. Those are going to be held from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Happy Goat that is on Laurel. Pop-up office hours are a chance to come by anytime during those hours without appointment to chat with me one-on-one about whatever is on your mind. I am really looking forward on November the 14th to an event that I'll be hosting for seniors in the ward, taking a look at safety. We're going to host the session on Friday, November the 14th from 1 until 2:30 p.m. at the Churchill Senior Centre. The speakers are going to include John Wambambo from Safer Roads Ottawa, speaking to pedestrian safety, the Ottawa Police speaking to community safety, OC Transpo about safety while riding transit, and I'm also really excited. I have noted speaker Julie Lalonde, who will be talking about effective bystander intervention. Refreshments are going to be provided by the Amica Westboro Park. You can register by emailing me at jeff.leeper@ottawa.ca or calling the office. I hope I see many of you there. Another reminder that on November the 4th, Councillor Troster and I are going to host a virtual meeting about what we heard in last June's pre-budget consultation. I hope you'll join us on Zoom on November the 4th as Ariel and I preview the upcoming budget, which is, I guess, now coming up fairly quickly, talk about what we heard and some of the things that we'll be looking for in the budget this year. Another call out for volunteers on November the 11th. There is a Remembrance Day parade that goes through Westboro. We need volunteers to help us close the intersection. I understand we're not quite up there yet. We need around 30 mature individuals who can supervise a number of closed intersections. The work would be from approximately 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. If you're able to help us out so that we can continue to host this parade, please reach out to my office at jeff.leeper@ottawa.ca. We're working with the BIA to ensure that affected businesses are aware. On October the 22nd, there was a Committee of Adjustment hearing. The single application in our ward was at 243 Belford to allow a front-facing garage, among a couple of other variances that are related. That application was approved. There are two properties in our ward that are on the committee's agenda for November the 19th. At 7 Lowry, the owner has applied to subdivide the property into two parcels for the construction of an 8-unit apartment building on each parcel. And at 272 Churchill Avenue North, the owner has applied for a number of variances to be permitted reduced lot widths and lot areas, a reduced driveway width, front-facing garages, and increased heights for the construction of a 3-story semi-detached dwelling. The details for both of those are on the Committee of Adjustments agenda page, for which I have provided a link in the newsletter. Also in the newsletter this week, I'll have the most recent housing numbers from the CMHC. They just released the Canada-wide numbers. I've updated my Ottawa tracker. The starts and the completions in Ottawa were very low month over month, year to year. However, the number of units under construction in the city currently is at virtually an historic high. Over time, of course, those slow starts are going to start rolling their way through the system, and we'll start to see a relative decline in the number of units that are under construction, but for the time being, they remain very high. Connaught School has got its Christmas fundraiser underway. Get ready for the holidays and support Connaught Public School with their annual Wreaths and Coffee fundraiser. You've got the opportunity to buy Christmas wreaths and coffee from Connaught. I've got details in the newsletter. You can order until November the 21st. I've got a link in the email. St. Stephen's is offering a paint workshop. St. Stephen's Presbyterian, which is at 579 Parkdale, is hosting a watercolor paint workshop on Sunday, November the 9th from 4 until 6. Members are welcome to learn from local artist Susie Shapiro as they paint together the Tree of Life. Take a look in the newsletter for more information and how to register for that. Parkdale United Church has started its silent auction. That is online from November the 1st until 13th. They always have lots of great stuff to bid on. Hope you'll take a look for the items that they've offered up for auction as their yearly fundraiser. There are a couple more fall fairs and Christmas bazaars coming up. First Unitarians is going to be on November the 15th from 9:30 until 2 p.m. and associated with that is a children's clothing sale at River Parkway Children's Center, which is on the same Unitarian campus. And at All Saints Westboro, they're going to be hosting their Christmas bazaar from November the 15th from 9 until 2 p.m. at 347 Richmond Road. Details about both of those fall fair Christmas bazaars are in the newsletter. It continues to be very busy, as I'm sure you've seen from the headlines, at City Hall. On November the 4th this week, the Audit Committee is going to meet to receive the follow-up to the sprint audit of the Lansdowne 2.0 proposal. It is really short timing. I'm not sure the Auditor General has had the appropriate amount of time since the report was published to polish up her audit of the Lansdowne sprint audit, but there it is. On November the 4th, the Audit Committee will meet to receive that and, of course, ask many questions. I expect a fair number of headlines will come out of that. And I think, as many people know, the Finance and Corporate Services Committee, on which I sit, voted 8-3 to recommend approval of the Lansdowne 2.0 proposal to City Council. I was one of those votes against. Then on November the 5th, the Planning and Housing Committee is going to be meeting with what I think will be another relatively contentious agenda. We're going to consider zoning for a 5-story apartment building to be built at 3055 Richmond, as well as various rezonings and official plan amendments for Blair Towers Place, Renault Road, and River Road. There's also going to be a zoning omnibus presented that will make a number of tweaks to various property zoning across the city. Fairly routine. I've taken a quick scan and nothing looks out of the ordinary on that. The headline item is going to be a pair of proposed urban boundary expansion parcels, one of them at O'Keefe Court and the other one in the South Marchlands. Both of those are proceeding under the authority that the province gave to developers to apply to include their parcels inside the urban boundary outside of the official plan process that we would ordinarily undertake every 5 years or so. City staff have recommended that we refuse those. Those will almost certainly head to the Ontario Land Tribunal for their final adjudication. When we add lands to the urban boundary, we want to add the right lands. So those are generally lands that are already fairly easily served by transit, that are immediately adjacent to existing servicing. When we add lands that are not ideal, our pipes get longer, our transit networks get longer, the cost to taxpayers goes up, and the environmental cost goes up. The city, in response to that provincial change, is undertaking a comprehensive review of our growth management strategy to determine which parcels are the best ones to add. These might be the right parcels, they might not be, but city staff are recommending we refuse them until we have the chance to do that holistic review of our urban boundary. Besides those items, the latest housing approvals dashboard is now online. We'll also receive a memo from staff on the input that they've proposed to the province on its proposed methodology for housing population and employment forecasts. So you can read all of those documents online at the link to which I pointed in the newsletter. And then on November the 6th, the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee is going to be considering the same zoning omnibus that we consider during the Planning and Housing Committee meeting, as well as the South March urban boundary inclusion. They're also going to be considering a rezoning on William McHugh Hewen, another one at 6158 Rideau Valley, as well as receive the residential, the rural residential land survey. And then finally, they're going to receive a memo on the continuation of the solid waste exemption for agricultural lands. Farms are basically allowed to put out more garbage than 3 bags. City staff are recommending that they are going to be proceeding with continuing that exemption under, I think, the authority that they already have delegated to them. And then finally, in the newsletter this week, I have a list of all the programming, new and ongoing, at Rosemount Public Library. Take a good look at that. There's lots of workshops and seminars and programs, many of which I hope will be of interest to you. Kitchissippi, I am looking forward to taking a look at the pumpkins that are behind me. It is the Byron Glows event here in the Byron Linear Park from Island Park. This year the pumpkins seem to go all the way to Clarendon, and it's absolutely a huge event. I know that I will see many of you here as soon as I turn off my camera. Kitchissippi, I hope you have a great week, and thank you for watching.